Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Sherleeza binti Muhammad Alias. I am a third student of Department Landscape Architecture at IUM. My research title is Rural Landscape Characters of Traditional Malay Village with a case study in Kampung Parit Jelutong, Ayer, Baloi, Pontian, Johor. My study is supervised by Associate Professor L.R. Dr. Khalilah binti Zakariya. My, my presentation today will be covering on 5 chapters including the introduction, the literature review, the research methodology, results and findings, and conclusion and recommendations. To understand the concept of Malay village with cultural landscape, the village is viewed as a whole setting with its natural landscape, and the Malay house is about the compound and the green setting, while the evolution of the Malay village is the result of the interrelationship between man and his surroundings, man and his inherent cultural attributes, and the need to survive. This research is mainly focusing to examine the study in preserving the rural landscape character of traditional Malay village. With the issues of degradation of rural landscape character, it is obviously caused by the rapid urbanization, climate change, social and demographic change, and the current development trends by the human activities. As uncontrolled urbanization is contributing to the bad impact of the preservation process, this research is trying to expose the solutions to preserve these values in the best way. For the problem statement, the changes and threats which are caused by the development by the human itself will lead to a few issues, which are the first one are lack of planning. Policies and guidelines are a must in any developing area in order to ensure the sustainability and well preserved. The next problem statement is in order to fulfill the socio-economic needs of the people, they are becoming less dependent on the preservation of traditional Malay village landscape of provision of food and others. And the next one is lack of awareness and appreciation from the users. Users nowadays are lack of environmental education and they are less exposed with the importance of these cultural values. Okay, to highlight this literature review part, we will discussing on two keywords, which the first one is traditional Malay settlement and the next one is rural landscape character. Okay, traditional Malay settlement can be categorized with the definition of village, where the definition of village is defined as a small settlement in a rural setting. It is a settlement of people clustered around a central point, while the traditional village is brought by the urban Malays who originated from a kampung where they older call it as a home. A settlement that possesses Malay architecture environment with Malay village concept. There are four characteristics of traditional Malay village in Johor. The first one is Kampung Parit. Kampung Parit is a land with irrigation of parit system and normally can be found in a flat area. And the next one is Kampung Nelayan. Kampung Nelayan is a small scale fisherman area where the river and beach are the main landscape. The next one is Kampung Atas Ayer, where the houses are scattered built on the water surface with platform and pillars to accommodate their height of the house. And Kampung Dataran is centralized with local infrastructure. It's aligned with the road and scattered towards the hinterland area. While rural landscape character can be defined by their definition of landscape, it is defined as comprising the structure of geology and soil, flora and fauna, and pattern of human and activities. It is the interactions between the natural resources and the human needs, while the rural landscape can be defined as a distinct pattern shaped by the nature, built and cultural elements found in a particular setting. There are six major components describing rural landscape character, which is the first one is rural culture and activities, where it includes on daily activities and recreation. Traditional wood and environment is defined as traditional uh, traditional architecture and local landmarks, while agriculture and nature includes the crops, plantation, trees, and forests. Landscape features can be defined as natural landscape features, while history and heritage include the historical sites and traditional products. Sense and experience are includes on smell, sight, sound, textures, taste, and memories. The aim of the study is to identify and examine the rural landscape character of traditional Malay village for the sustainability of local cultural landscape. To achieve this aim, there are three objectives, which is the first one to identify the landscape character of traditional Malay village. Number two, to examine the factors and changes affecting the preservation of landscape character of traditional Malay village. And number three, to recommend approaches to preserve rural landscape characters for traditional Malay village. This research examines how the rural landscape character of the traditional Malay village is characterized through a case study of Kampung Parit Jelutong, Ayer, Baloi, Pontian, Johor. This is one of the well-known village in Pontian. This is one of the Malay villages that experience the mixed farming practice where the villagers produce their own agriculture and crop diversification such as pineapple, rubber plantations, and coconut trees. There are three categories of method that have been used in this research, where the first one is documentary analysis. There are about 20 reading materials that have been reviewed, range from articles, journals, books, and reports. This to study the traditional of Malay village and rural landscape character and to identify the landscape character of traditional Malay village while observation is done through the supporting checklist, inventory and analysis mapping, and photography documentation. It is to recommend approaches to preserve rural landscape character for traditional Malay villages, while questionnaire survey and interviews are done uh, with the house owners and the tenants of the villages. It is to examine the factors and changes affecting the preservation of landscape character of traditional Malay village. For the results and findings, the data gathered on the landscape characters and rural activities where there are 60% of the villages' houses preserve their landscape spaces in a good view, while 25% of the villages' houses have a nice landscape space but not suitable for community activities due to the some reason. 15% of the villages' houses have the outdoor space but do not preserve their landscape properly. And the next data gathered on opinions on the preservation of rural landscape character, where 80% of the respondents are agreed that landscape character should be preserved along with traditional Malay village as it is very important, while 20% of the respondents are unfamiliar with the concept of rural landscape character of traditional Malay village. Lastly, this presentation will provide the recommendation for overall research. Based on the rules and regulations, environment, social design, importance of space requirement and activities are a must aspect that should be highlighted in this research study. There are also several aspects that must be encountered for improving the design recommendations, such as in terms of the maintenance and management, to increase the public awareness and more promotion of rural landscape should be undertaken by the local and national government in order to promote the beauty of rural Malay landscape. For conclusion, it is important for the public to view the importance of preserving the value of traditional Malay village with its rural landscape character. The traditional Malay village must be preserved in order to maintain the uniqueness of the heritage value for the future generations and at the same time can help to educate people to take care of it as part of Malaysia's cultural landscape. That's all from me. Thank you.